Welcome back to our channel, my friends. Have you ever watched the famous web series Money Heist? And noticed that iconic mask, the strange face, the twisted mustache, the mysterious expression? That mask is not random. It represents a real person, a man who was not just different, but completely unforgettable. Salvador Dalí. Now think about this. A man so unique, so powerful in his identity, that even today, his face is used as a symbol of rebellion. But here's the truth. Dalí was not just a painter. He was a mind that refused to follow reality. He didn't paint what he saw. He painted what he imagined. Dreams, fears, strange thoughts. He turned them into art. But behind this genius, there was struggle, confusion, rejection, loneliness. So, in this video, you are not just going to learn about an artist. You are going to explore a mind that changed the way the world sees reality. From a strange childhood, to global fame, to a powerful legacy. This is the life story of Salvador Dalí. Stay till the end, because this story will not just inspire you, it will change the way you think. Chapter 1. A Strange Beginning, 1904 to childhood. Let's go back in time, before the fame, before the strange paintings, before the world knew his name. There was just a child born in 1904, in a small town called Figueres. His name, Salvador Dalí. But his story did not begin like a normal child. It began with something very unusual, something that would shape his entire life. Before Dalí was born, his parents had another son, and that son died. Now imagine this moment, a family in pain, a loss they could not forget, and then another child is born, Dalí. But instead of seeing him as a new life, his parents believed something strange. They believed that Dalí was the reincarnation of their dead son. Yes, they believed he was not just Salvador, but a return of the child they lost. Now think about this deeply. From a very young age, Dalí was told, "You are not just yourself. You are someone else." Imagine growing up with that idea. Imagine looking in a mirror and not knowing who you truly are. This created something powerful inside him: confusion, fear, and a deep sense of identity. Dalí later said that this belief affected him deeply. It made him feel like he was living two lives: one life as himself, and one life as someone he never knew. Now listen carefully. This was not just a childhood experience. It became part of his mind. As a child, Dalí was not like others. He was sensitive. He was emotional. He was different. He had strong imagination. He saw things in unusual ways. While other children played normally, Dalí's mind was full of strange ideas, dreamlike thoughts, unreal images, creative visions. Sometimes, he would have intense emotions. He would feel deeply. He would react strongly. And people around him noticed this. They saw that he was not ordinary. Now there is another important part of his childhood. His father was strict, very strict. He believed in discipline. He wanted Dalí to be controlled. But Dalí was not someone who liked control. He wanted freedom. He wanted to express himself. This created tension, a conflict between authority and creativity. Now his mother was different. She supported him. She believed in his talent. She encouraged his artistic side. And this support became very important because it gave Dalí confidence. At a very young age, he started drawing, simple sketches at first. But soon, his talent became clear. He didn't draw like a normal child. He added imagination. He added emotion. He added something unique. Now listen carefully. Dalí was not just learning art. He was expressing his mind. Every drawing, every sketch was a reflection of how he saw the world. And his world was not normal. It was strange, dreamlike, different. This is where everything began, not in fame, not in success, but in a confused, emotional, imaginative child. Now imagine this, a boy growing up, believing he is someone else, feeling deeply, seeing the world differently. This is not a normal beginning. But sometimes, greatness does not come from a normal life. It comes from a different mind, a mind that does not follow rules, a mind that sees what others cannot see. And that is exactly what Dalí had, before he became a genius, before he changed the world of art. He was just a child, trying to understand who he really was. And that question, that confusion, that imagination, would later turn into something extraordinary. Chapter 2. The Rebellious Artist. Talent, Ego, and Expulsion. Teenage years. As Salvador Dalí grew older, something inside him became stronger. Not just his talent, but his personality. He was no longer just a sensitive child. He was becoming bold, different, unpredictable. By his teenage years, Dalí had already shown something rare. His artistic ability was far beyond his age. He could draw with detail, with precision, with emotion. People around him started noticing. They realized this boy was not ordinary. His family also understood this. They wanted him to succeed. So they made an important decision. They sent him to study art in one of the most important cities in Spain, Madrid. This was a big step. Now Dalí was entering a serious world, a world of rules, of discipline, of structured learning. He joined the famous Real Academia de Bellas Artes de San Fernando, one of the top art schools. Now imagine this moment, a young artist, full of talent, full of imagination, enter in a system that demands control. At first, everything looked promising. Dalí learned classical techniques. He studied traditional art. He improved his skills. But something inside him was not satisfied. Dalí didn't want to be like other artists. He didn't want to follow rules. He didn't want to copy styles. He wanted to be different. And this is where the conflict began. Dalí started behaving in unusual ways. He dressed differently. He acted differently. He wanted attention, not because he wanted to impress people, but because he wanted to express himself. Now listen carefully. Dalí didn't just want to be an artist. He wanted to be unforgettable. But the art school did not like this. They believed in discipline. They believed in structure. They believed in following rules. And Dalí was the opposite. He questioned authority. He challenged teachers. He refused to follow instructions blindly. Now there is one moment that shows his mindset clearly. During an exam, Dalí said something shocking. He said, "No one here is qualified to judge my work." Imagine saying that to your teachers. This was not just confidence. It was extreme belief in himself. But it also created problems. The school saw him as arrogant, difficult, uncontrollable. And finally, it happened. Dalí was expelled. Yes, a young artist with incredible talent was thrown out of one of the best art schools. Now imagine this moment. You are talented. You are different. But the system rejects you. For most people, this would be the end. They would feel broken. They would doubt themselves. But Dalí was not like most people. Instead of feeling defeated, he felt free. He didn't need the system. He didn't need approval. He didn't need validation. Because he believed something powerful. I am my own standard. Now listen carefully. Sometimes being rejected by the system is the beginning of your real journey. Dalí was no longer controlled, no longer limited, no longer forced to follow rules. And this freedom allowed his imagination to grow. He started exploring new ideas, new styles, new ways of thinking. He moved away from traditional art and closer to something unusual, something strange, something dreamlike. He was slowly moving toward the world of surrealism. But at this stage, he was still searching, still experimenting, still trying to find his identity. Now imagine this journey. A young boy with confusion in childhood, a talented student rejected by the system, a rebellious mind refusing to follow rules. This was not a smooth path, but it was a powerful one. Because sometimes, the people who don't fit in are the ones who create something new. Dalí didn't become great because he followed rules. He became great because he broke them. And his rejection was not the end of his story. It was the beginning of something extraordinary. Chapter 3. The Rise of Surrealism. Dreams become art. After being expelled from art school, Salvador Dalí was no longer tied to rules, no teachers, no system, no limitations. For many people, this kind of freedom can be dangerous. They get lost. They don't know what to do. But for Dalí, this freedom became power. Now he was free to explore his mind, free to create without restriction, free to become truly himself. During this time, Dalí began searching for something deeper. He didn't want to paint normal things. He didn't want to copy reality. He wanted to go beyond reality, into dreams, into imagination, into the subconscious mind. And this is where he discovered something that would change his life forever. Surrealism. Now understand this carefully. Surrealism was not just an art style, it was a way of thinking. It was about exploring dreams, strange thoughts, hidden fears, unusual ideas. It was about showing the world what exists inside the human mind. And Dalí fell in love with it because his mind was already like that. Strange, creative, full of unusual images. Surrealism gave him a place where being different was not wrong. It was powerful. Now Dalí began creating art that shocked people, paintings that didn't look real, objects that didn't follow logic, scenes that felt like dreams. At first, people didn't understand his work. They looked at his paintings and felt confused. Some even thought he was crazy. But Dalí didn't care, because he believed something very powerful. I am not strange. I am just different. Now, during this time, Dalí developed a unique method. He called it the paranoiac critical method. This method allowed him to enter a state between sleep and reality, a place where dreams feel real, where imagination becomes visible. And from this state, he created his most famous works. One of them changed everything. In 1931, Dalí created a painting that became legendary, The Persistence of Memory. Now imagine this painting, a quiet landscape, empty, silent, still. And in that silence, there are clocks, but not normal clocks. These clocks are melting, soft, bending, losing shape. Time itself looks unstable, weak, unreal. This image shocked the world. People had never seen anything like this. Some people loved it. They saw genius. They saw creativity. Others didn't understand it. They saw madness. They saw confusion. But one thing was clear. Dalí had created something unforgettable. Now listen carefully. This was the moment Dalí became more than an artist. He became a symbol of imagination, a symbol of freedom, a symbol of breaking reality. After this, his fame started growing. More people started noticing him. More people started talking about his work. He was no longer just a rebellious student. He was now part of a powerful movement, a movement that challenged reality itself. But with fame came attention, and with attention came controversy. People started questioning him. Is he a genius, or is he insane? But Dalí didn't try to explain himself. He didn't try to fit in. Because deep inside, he knew something important. Great ideas are not always understood immediately. Now imagine this journey. A boy with a strange childhood. A student rejected by the system. A mind full of imagination. Now becoming one of the most talked about artists in the world. This was not luck. This was identity. This was courage. This was expression. Dalí didn't follow reality. He created his own. And in a world where everyone was trying to be normal, he chose to be different. And that difference turned his dreams into history. Chapter 4: Fame, Love, and Controversy. The man becomes a legend. After the success of his surreal paintings, Salvador Dalí was no longer just an artist. He was becoming a global figure. People were now talking about him everywhere. His paintings were unique. His ideas were different. His personality was unforgettable. But Dalí didn't just want to be known for his art. He wanted to be known for who he was. He understood something very powerful. If people remember you, your work lives forever. So he didn't act like a normal artist. He created a public image, strange, bold, dramatic. He grew his famous long, curved mustache. He dressed in unusual ways. He spoke in a dramatic, confident style. People were fascinated. Some admired him. Some laughed at him. Some didn't understand him. But everyone remembered him. Now something very important happened in his life. Something that would change everything. He met a woman named Salvador Dalí. She was not just a partner. She became his muse, his inspiration, his emotional support, his connection to reality. Before Dalí met Gala, his mind was full of chaos, dreams, fears, confusion. But Gala brought balance. She understood him. She believed in him. Dalí once said, "Without Gala, I am nothing." Now imagine this, a man with a wild mind, finding someone who understands him. This gave him strength. This gave him stability. Gala also helped manage his career. She made smart decisions. She protected his work. She helped him grow professionally. Together, they became powerful. But with fame came another side. Controversy. Dalí was not afraid of attention. In fact, he welcomed it. He did unusual things, strange performances, bold statements, unexpected behavior. Sometimes, he crossed the line. People started questioning him. Is he serious? Or is he just trying to shock people? Even the surrealism group started having problems with him. They believed in political ideas. They wanted art to follow certain values. But Dalí did not want to follow any group. He wanted full freedom. And because of this, he was eventually removed from the Surrealist group. Now imagine this moment. You find your place, you become successful, and then you are pushed out. For many people, this would be a loss. But for Dalí, it was another form of freedom. He didn't need a group. He didn't need approval. He didn't need rules. He believed something very powerful. I am surrealism. Yes, he said that. And this shows his mindset, extreme confidence, complete belief in himself. Now his fame continued to grow. He traveled to different countries. He became popular in places like New York City. People loved his personality, his art, his style, his presence. Everything about him was different. He started working in different fields: film, fashion, photography. He expanded his creativity. He was no longer just a painter. He was a brand. Now listen carefully. Dalí didn't just create art. He created a personality the world could not ignore. But with all this fame, there was still complexity. Some people believed he was a genius. Others believed he was just acting. But Dalí never tried to explain himself, because he understood something very important. Not everyone needs to understand you. Some just need to remember you. Now imagine this journey. A boy with a strange identity, a student rejected by the system, an artist who created dreamlike worlds, now standing in front of the world, famous, controversial, unforgettable. Dalí didn't try to fit into the world. He made the world notice him. And whether people loved him or doubted him, they could not ignore him. Because true originality always stands out. Chapter 5. Later years, loss, and legacy. The price of genius. As the years passed, Salvador Dalí had already achieved something extraordinary: fame, recognition, a place in history. He was no longer just an artist. He was a legend. His paintings were known all over the world. His personality was unforgettable. His ideas had changed art forever. But behind all this success, there was another side of his life. A quieter side. A more emotional side. Because success does not protect you from pain. Now listen carefully. As Dalí grew older, his life began to slow down. The energy of his youth, the boldness of his actions, the excitement of creation, all of it started fading. And then came one of the most painful moments of his life: the loss of Gala Dalí, the woman who had supported him, the woman who understood him, the woman who gave him balance. She was gone. Now imagine this: a man who lived his life with intensity, now facing silence. Dalí was deeply affected. He became more isolated, more withdrawn. His creativity began to slow, his energy decreased. Because Gala was not just his partner, she was his connection to the world. Without her, he felt alone. Now listen carefully. Even the strongest minds need connection. Dalí's later years were not like his famous days. He was quieter, less active, more reflective. He spent much of his time in his hometown, Figueres, the same place where his life began. Now think about this: a man who traveled the world, who stood on global stages, now returning to where it all started. There is something emotional about that, something complete. In his final years, Dalí lived in a more isolated way. His health declined. His body became weak. But his legacy, only became stronger. People around the world continued to study his work. Artists were inspired by him. His paintings became timeless. Because Dalí did something very few people do. He created something original. He didn't copy the world. He created his own version of it. Now listen to this powerful truth. Great people don't just live their life. They leave something behind. And Dalí left behind a vision, a new way of seeing reality, a reminder that imagination has no limits. He passed away in 1989, in the same town where he was born. But his story did not end there. Because his work continues to live, his ideas continue to inspire, his name continues to be remembered. Now imagine this journey. A child confused about his identity, a student rejected by the system, a man who created dreamlike art, a global figure who shocked the world, and finally, a quiet ending, but a powerful legacy. Dalí's life teaches us something important. You don't have to be normal to succeed. You don't have to follow rules to be great. You don't have to fit in to be remembered. Sometimes, being different is your greatest strength. Dalí didn't just paint pictures. He painted his mind. And even today, his imagination continues to live in every person who dares to think differently. So remember this, the mask you saw in Money Heist is not just a design. It represents a man who refused to be normal. Salvador Dalí was not perfect. He was strange, he was misunderstood, he was different. But that difference made him unforgettable. He didn't follow the world. He created his own world. He didn't fear judgment. He expressed himself freely. And that is the real lesson. You don't need to be like everyone else. You don't need to fit in. You don't need to follow the crowd. Because sometimes, the people who are called different are the ones who change everything. So don't hide your uniqueness. Don't be afraid of your ideas. Don't silence your creativity. Because your difference is your power. And if this story made you think, made you feel, or inspired you even a little, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs this message. Because sometimes, one story, one idea, one moment can change your entire life. Keep learning, keep growing,